Hi everybody, it's Miss Peachy from Wisconsin Connections Academy. I'm going to do this tutorial to kind of show you how to put a graph into a Microsoft Office document. Some of you are struggling with how to do a graph, so we're going to kind of work on that here. So I know you can use this Excel to do graphing as well, and a lot of people like to do that. I'm not a big fan. My skill level is not the greatest. I like to go up to the top of the screen and hit Insert, and then select Chart from there. And that will default to a bar graph. Most of the time I'm going to have you guys make line graphs. Remember that your graph is going to be selected based upon your data. So if you're looking at how one variable affects another variable, in the case of the Introduction to Scientific Inquiry portfolio, it would be, how does temperature affect volume? And then you're going to use a line graph. If you're looking at comparing several different things, say, for example, you have 5 plants and each one is receiving a different fertilizer, and you're comparing the height of the plants after 1 week's growth, then you would use a bar graph. If you're looking at percents of a whole, taking a survey and seeing how many people, prefer sausage pizza to pepperoni pizza, cheese pizza, and you do a percent of a whole, then you would use a pie or circle graph. So those are the 3 primary graphs that you'll be using here. There are other types of graphs, but we don't really get into those types. So I'm going to select the line graph here. And I like to select the one where it has markers so I can see my data points. If I just have lines, then I can't see the data points, and I don't like that. So select the line with markers graph. And then that's going to appear on your screen along with a small window that looks like it comes from Excel. So depending on what you're graphing, you'll need different stuff put in here. If you notice, what appears on the x-axis is category. Well, in this particular graph that I'm using for the Introduction to Scientific Inquiry, we are going to be changing the temperature and seeing how pressure responds. The thing that you change goes on the x-axis. So this is going to be temperature here, okay? So I'm going to put temperature in, starting with, well, let's do a little bit of calculation here. Excuse me. Probably start at around 200 and, I don't know, 290 degrees, 290 Kelvin. You might be doing Celsius degrees on this axis as well, but I'm not exactly sure what your measurements are going to be on this one, so I'm just kind of doing a random guess. Well, not exactly random, but somewhat random. Okay. You can kind of get an idea there. And then I'm only going to be graphing one series because I only am going to be looking at how, temperature changes with different, or how the pressure changes with different temperatures, right? So we don't even have to have that title for this at all. And I can actually deselect everything that's here. Say your pressure is in, I'm trying to think of what they have the pressure in. Maybe it's in pascals. I'm not 100% sure what they have the pressure at. I'm gonna do PSI just because I'm more familiar with that. So say, you know, we'll start with 14 and we'll call this pressure PSI. And we'll call this temperature. My units are terrible, by the way. Temperature in Kelvin, because I'm using SI units and then I'm using kind of like an imperial measurement system. But the point is to learn to graph here. So 14, 16, 20, 28, and 30. Okay. So as you can see here, now we have graph that shows how pressure changes with a change in temperature. So I'm going to X out of the data here, and I'm going to show you how to make some modifications to this graph. You're going to want to put some labels on here. So if I go up to the top of the screen, I should be able to go to Quick Layout. And first of all, I'm going to add a small data table because I like to have that as part of my graph. And then I'm going to go to Add Chart Element and go to Axes Titles. So I'm going to label both my axes, the primary horizontal, which we said was temperature, in Kelvin. And then we can go to primary vertical, which we said was, oops, I must have selected the wrong one there. Primary vertical, which we said was pressure in PSI. I can change the title of my graph too. I can just click right in it. Otherwise, I can go to Chart Element and go to Chart Title. It'll allow me to change the position of it, but it also allows me to select it. And maybe I will say, how does change in temperature affect pressure? That can be my chart title. That's really all I need in my graph. I don't necessarily need many more features. You can change other things with that tool. You can change the color, you can change how it looks, you can change, you know, the fact that it could be looking 3D, but this is pretty much the minimum of what you would need to display with your line graph. So hopefully that makes some sense to you, and it's pretty easy to do. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to give me a call at extension 2204. Thank you.